I read an article where you discussed researchers adding bias into survey questions. So obviously, that's one way of getting the customer feedback is to send a survey. But if I'm writing it and I know what answer I want them to give to justify me building the product that we've talked about before, that I've already sunk a lot of capital into, how does AI avoid this? How do you avoid this?
So AI generally, I don't think does avoid it, but Juno does. And Juno does because it has been made to, and made to by myself and my co-founder, Josh. So people insert their own biases into the data. And by that, I mean, they may say, do you love this podcast? If I say that to you, I am giving you a lot of signals to tell you that I want you to tell me that you love that. Now, we know that humans are more likely, particularly if there's eye contact, particularly if it's human to human, particularly if there is a little bit of self-consciousness on the participant's behalf. So certain personalities are going to take the path of least resistance and they are going to say, yes, of course, I love it. Now, if we ask a neutral question, which is, how do you feel about this podcast? What I am telling you is, I am neutral. Therefore, it is a safe space and you can say whatever you want. Now, humans are really bad at that, generally speaking. Now, what we have done, and this is one of 51 behaviors that Juno demonstrates, right? We have ensured that Juno doesn't ask leading questions. Now, that doesn't mean Juno doesn't have bias. Nothing doesn't have bias. If it is an entity, then of course it has bias. The question is, what are we going to skew those biases towards? And Juno is a system that is evaluated every day by me, someone that has done this job for 12 years and is monitoring the behavior. So we are in a place to ensure that we are producing data that is as true as possible. And by truth, we mean it represents the opinion of the participant as they gave it.
And I'm dying to know, you gave that 51 types of questions. Don't give me any secret sauce, but does it depend on who you're asking the question to? Are these clusters of different things where some have, 10 over here, but 3 over there? And
yeah, so a few of our competitors that are chasing us will absolutely be listening to this. So I'm not going to give you the framework, but what I will do is tell you that we have developed a set of characteristics, traits, and a way to evaluate those minute by minute. Some of those evaluation mechanics are still done manually with me in relationship with that technology, and others we have now automated. But those ones that are automated are set up on a scoring system that I have initially informed. So Juno is built on a very, very guarded approach, which privileges quality. And by quality, we mean a high confidence in accuracy of the data. So when we say someone said X, we're very sure that they said X. And we're also very sure that we didn't lead them to say X.
I kind of wish I spoke to you before I sent out my first ever quiz about the podcast, because I'm kicking myself now. Michelle, I wrote in it, literally verbatim, I said, would you recommend this show to your friends? That's leading.
It is. But hey, there is a whole industry on NPS, and one of those questions is how likely are you to recommend this to a friend? There's many board reports that still have NPS scores in them, right? And it is a very, very biased comparison tool. You're there with the best of them. There are some people that are making incredibly important big decisions daily and are using very biased data to inform those decisions. So I would let yourself off the hook there.
That's kind of you, but if I'm a large enterprise and I'm not using Juno and I've got, 99% of people said they would recommend a show to their friends, but actually they don't really mean that, what can happen? I guess you kind of alluded.
Can I tell you a story? And I'm okay telling you the story because I saw it happen firsthand. So I was once in a large Australian telecommunications retail branch, And I saw a staff member chasing a customer out with a clipboard. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, I need this customer to fill out this NPS survey because they had a really great experience and they're going to say really great things." And I said, "Why do you care?" And she said, "Because I get rewarded if they do."
Oh, no.
So
Oh,
that whole
no.
system, not only the mechanism of NPS and the very
Yes.
notion of surveys in that context, but you are building a system around the method of surveys that is inherently, I mean, that's not bias, that's just negligence, right?
Yeah.
And those outcomes are then going into steering committees, boards, and those boards are making decisions based on the fact that 72% of people last week said they were more likely to recommend Telstra than Optus.
Yeah.
How is this responsible decision making?
Yeah.
Right. And the reality is it's not responsible decision making. And if you get any of those stakeholders alone, they know it's not. They just don't have another system to replace it. And they have to wind back so much. The great exciting thing, I think, is products like Juno are leveling the playing field because you no longer have to have big budgets to buy data that has high integrity. You can have very low budget, you can have very small amounts of time, you can have a very small team, and you can now listen to your users, audience, employees, customers, citizens in real time. And that's really exciting. It means that you don't have to have money to get good data anymore. And what's that going to do for the world?